Okay, so I'm here in my hostel in Vietnam, and as you can see, I've got this new microphone, and this means that I can record stuff now, even when kind of the surroundings would have been way too loud to record previously. So I thought I'd just do this little piece about critical mass inside of a Zettelkasten, because I think that's something really important. I've just done an article about it as well. So first, I'll tell the story, or I will go over critical mass itself. Actually, it's this idea from physics, where after a certain point in the progress of a reaction, it just turns into more of a chain reaction that continues with very little additional effort put into it. And so the main example given a lot of the time is a nuclear reactor. So it has uranium fuel rods, and some free neutrons, I believe, are fired into the fuel rods, causing reactions that release more free neutrons, and these free neutrons again collide into the fuel rods and release more and more free neutrons, causing heat and a chain reaction. And so that is how heat is generated in nuclear energy. But you note that after a certain point of building up momentum, things are much more easier to run. And so that's the idea that I wanted to touch on with the Zettelkasten, because I was writing about critical mass in terms of other projects, more general projects, the other day. For my newsletter, Fundamentalized, you will actually try and find the issue here, fundamentalized.com, because I was thinking about how I can kind of almost coast these days instead of working so hard on things. But you can see here, do whatever it takes to reach critical mass. And I was writing this piece, you can see the explanation there. I'll leave the link to this newsletter issue in the description as well. You can see this description about critical mass, etc. And I was thinking about that with a Zettelkasten, and I ended up making a video for my community, which is actually at the moment at the top link in the description. You can get a huge discount on my vault, so long as you're still watching this in time, and that includes a free trial of my community as well, where I post slightly less edited, more unfiltered videos that you might want to check out. But anyway, I was recording a video for my community trying to say that, well, this is my newsletter writing process, and then I might use my Zettelkasten for idea generation related to critical mass. And so I came into my Obsidian vault and brought up the Finder, and I searched. This wasn't here at the time because I've not found the note in ages and ages. It's a really old note, but I just wrote the words critical mass in there, and you can see now that I've kind of spawned a lot of new content around this idea of critical mass. But the first note that came up was this one here in my Zettelkasten, which is the areas folder, and it talks about the function of the Zettelkasten of critical mass. And now I was writing about critical mass in other projects, in terms of, so for example, my writing or creating content online. I was kind of talking about that and how I get a base level of viewership or readership or audience to my work now with relatively little additional work compared to when I started. But I'd not considered the power of the Zettelkasten at critical mass, but it's exactly the same. And I was reminded once I went into my Zettelkasten and found this note, and you can see that once I'd actually come up with this note, it's immediately spawning new ideas and connections to other knowledge. So I was writing about critical mass in terms of general projects, but this, once I found it, had kind of generated a bunch of ideas for content for Parazettel that I could create and put out for everyone. And so I've already done the article, and so I thought I'd do the video here as well and tell you about critical mass. And now it should be said that it takes effort at the start to get to a point of critical mass inside of your Zettelkasten, where kind of the ideas are linking to each other and they pop up out of nowhere over time and suggest to you new ideas and new directions to take things in your work. And you can see here, if I show you the actual Zettelkasten folder in my vault, there's a lot of notes, and it took a while of capturing things, say, in this inbox here, and then reading the notes further down the line and turning them into notes in my areas folder. But I think once you do that for a period of time, we'll have a look. See, once you do that for a period of time, all the knowledge really does just connect to each other. And if you are perhaps writing something about a specific topic or doing some work around a specific topic, and you kind of search in and find that note in your Zettelkasten that you might have written about that topic, then immediately, because the Zettelkasten hopefully at this point is a critical mass, immediately the Zettelkasten bounces you to a number of different ideas that are related to what you're working on, but that you might not have thought about previously. And it all relies on creating these links in your notes to other topics, etc. So you can see that so long as you create these links, you can follow through to all of the different notes and knowledge that you've captured in your vault. But you have to be vigilant, first of all, in writing the volume of notes in your Zettelkasten to get to this critical mass where things just start to fall into place with very little extra effort. And you also have to be vigilant in linking this stuff together. So this is where the patience comes in, and the building things over time comes in, because you want to really have a grasp of the stuff that you are recording and capturing into your vault as you do so, so that you can kind of have this faint notion that there might be a note there about said topic that you can then go back and find. So like when I went to type in critical mass into the search engine, I kind of had a bit of a feeling there might be some information about critical mass in my Zettelkasten, but I didn't know that this specific note was there and that specific idea was there. And so as I went for it, I had this note that I'd written literally 2 years ago now spring to the forefront of my mind, and more than 2 years actually, just thinking back, it's going to be 3 years now. So back when I first started to learn about all of this stuff, before I was even writing online, I wrote this note, and so that was pushed to the forefront after many hundreds of days, just to spawn new ideas in the present moment. And it took very little effort on my part. I just had taken these notes in the past and reached a point where there was a lot of knowledge about a broad range of topics that was linked together and that I could uncover just by a simple search in my Obsidian search bar. And so that is a lot of what I wanted to tell you about the Zettelkasten at critical mass. And this system here in my Obsidian vault is called Parazettel, and at the moment, if you're watching this soon after I edit and release this video, I've still got a bit of a, well, more than a bit of a, one of the biggest discounts in the history of the Obsidian Vault template that I sell. And so if you check the top link in the description, like I said, you can grab that for a discount, get into the community for a free trial, and hopefully I can teach you a little bit more one-to-one, so I can hop on the videos a little bit like this, but it's specifically tailored to perhaps the shortcomings or roadblocks that you're facing in your own knowledge management. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and like I said, I've got my microphone now, so hopefully you can expect a little bit more content from me in the future, because I'm trying not to overthink the editing and everything whilst travelling as well. I'm in Vietnam and it's gorgeous, it really is. I've only been here since last night, but I thought I'd get things off to a good start by recording something. So anyway, like I said, I'll see you soon, and take care.